in India. And on behalf of everyone at Google, I want to invite all the participants for Code for India Hackathon for this marvelous event. It's our real privilege to be hosting our keynote speaker, Mr. Murthy from Infosys, and also we've got Mr. Phanindra from Redbus. Let's give a huge round of applause to this gentleman. And also a very warm welcome to see all the NGO partners out here. I can see more than around 15 NGO partners who are present for this event out here. Welcome you all. And also, it's great to see all the partners coming together for a common cause. And the sponsors from Cisco, Intel, Oracle, World Bank Group Financials, Amazon, and Wipro are here. Warm welcome to you. So to know more about Code for India as an organization and what they want to accomplish, I would request Mr. Carl Mehta, founder of Code for India, who is joining all the way from Mountain View to speak about it. But before I hand it over to Carl, I just want to read out a little biography about him. So Carl is a venture partner at Menlo Ventures. That's his daytime job, apart from running Code for India, and focuses on investment in financial services, mobile payments, e-commerce, and gaming space. Carl has served as a White House Presidential Innovation Fellow, selected by Obama administration during the year 2012 and 13. He is recently appointed by Governor Brown to the Workforce Investment Board of the state of California. He is also an advisory board of Simpa Networks and Intel Capital. So over to you, Carl.
Thank you. Thanks, Sunil. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Great. So I don't run Code for India. We have a pretty large team here in Silicon Valley as well as in India. You can see the whole team. Hopefully our core team is here. And later tonight, when we kick off the hackathon here at your Saturday morning time, and it will be Friday night here, you'll see more than about 200 people, which was one of the largest hackathon here in Silicon Valley. So we have a we're fortunate to have a very large team here that runs this fantastic organization. So two things that I would like to mention. Number one is this is a very historic event, and you may not realize it in two different ways. Number one, it's the first ever US-India parallel hackathon. So we've never ever experimented this to bring the developers and the coders and the technical community of the two countries together exactly at the same time, 24 hours. And think about this challenge where we are in California. It's kind of the worst time zone, you know, with no overlap at all. Like if we were in New York, it's still at least we would get a 3-hour time zone. You see the team here that is assembled. They have not slept the entire night, and they've been here all night, and they will not be sleeping again the next night. So it is not just a one all-nighter, it's 2 all-nighters. And we all love this, doing it. But we wanted to experiment this, and there has always been this collaboration of the technical community from India, but never ever tried to bring for continuously 24 hours the Indian origin technology people working together for a social cause, for social impact cause, and doing this for volunteering time. We all do all-nighters for our startups and for our companies, but it's fantastic to see the energy that people are willing to sacrifice and work continuously 24 hours for a nonprofit cause. So this would be a record by itself to have that first ever global hackathon. The second bit, almost close to, we could have broken a Guinness record. So the largest ever hackathon that has been recorded in the US or maybe worldwide had 800 people. And we received more than 1,200 registration in Bangalore alone. So, by the way, give a great round of applause to the city of Bangalore and its spirit of technology and its spirit of volunteerism, because you guys exceeded and over-exceeded our expectation. We thought we would get like 200 people. We got 1,200 registration, and the registrations are still pouring in. So I really love to give. So if we would have admitted, if we would have accepted every single one of them, we would have had the largest hackathon ever in the world of 1,200 people, and we would have broken the record of the US hackathon that happened in LA 2 weeks back. It was called the LA Hacks, and they had 800 people, and they said that this is the largest ever hackathon recorded. So next time, I think in the next few months, if we can continue to get support of all of you over there, all of our partners and all our sponsors and our NGOs, we would love to do this hackathon again in Bangalore very soon at a much larger venue so that we can bring in all those 1,200 people or even many more. So that's the second big record. The third thing that quickly I would like to mention, Code for India, we founded last year on the auspicious day of India's Independence Day, August 15th, 2013, and we got fantastic response from the Silicon Valley community and great support from Google. I have to really acknowledge from the bottom of my heart all the support that we've been getting from Google, and they've been a fantastic host tonight at both locations here in Mountain View as well as in Bangalore. Secondly, I would really, I really appreciate and would love to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Narayana Murthy. He has been a great inspiration for me personally. I've looked him up as a mentor, both virtually and have interacted with him over the past several years. And the first time when I approached him about this Code for India, he immediately, even at the very beginning, before we even started Code for India, and when I talked to him about Code for India, he encouraged me. So he has been a great inspirer for us. And it's wonderful to have him kick this off, our first event in India. Secondly, we'd love to love to acknowledge Mr. Phanindra Sama, who is a great icon now for the young entrepreneurs. Recently had a great success with Redbus, and we would love to hear him speak right after Mr. Narayana Murthy. I'd love to also thank all our partners, NGOs, as well as our sponsors. And at this time, I would like to invite our host there, Mr. Pranav Tiwari, who is the head of engineering at Google Bangalore office. And he has been a wonderful host. He's going to host us in his office for this hackathon over the next few days, next couple of days. And he would be welcoming Mr. Narayana Murthy. So please give a round of applause again for Mr. Pranav Tiwari as well as Mr. Murthy.
On behalf of Code for India and Google, I'm extremely excited to welcome Mr. Narayana Murthy here. He's been one of the inspirational figures in the software industry in India. Obviously, it's no introduction. In 1981, he went on to create something that became a transformational force behind Indian software industry and essentially created that industry from scratch. Over the years, it would go on to create new paradigms in software development, services, and so on, which would put Indian software industry at the global stage. He's been lauded as one of the 12 greatest entrepreneurs of our time by Fortune magazine 2 years ago. Besides that, he served on the boards of Cornell University, Wharton, and the Grad School of Business in Stanford. He's got 25 plus doctorates, honorary doctorates from universities across the globe, and he has Legion d'Honneur from the government of France and Padma Vibhushan from government of India. I can go on, but I don't want to take any more time. I would just like to invite him and listen to one of the most inspirational figures of our time, Dr. Murthy, please.
Thank you. Sorry?
This microphone should connect.
Oh, okay, that's right, that's right. Thank you. Carl, Pranav, Sunil. Hello, is that on?
Yeah, we'll give more.
Okay, no problems. Friends from the Code for India Hackathon participants in the US. It's indeed a signal honor for me to be part of this wonderful event. Hackathon is indeed a great idea. It is some way Carl's idea. He met me a couple of years ago and he talked about his desire to create Code for India, like Teach for India, Teach for America, Code for the US, etc. I congratulate every one of you who will be participating in this hackathon, And given that this is the first US-India parallel hackathon, I think there's a lot that each group can learn from the other. There's also a very good competition. I have no doubt at all that at the end of the exercise, both the parties will be winners. India has made significant progress in several areas in the last 65 plus years after our independence. At the same time, India also remains a country with perhaps more serious problems, whether it's education, healthcare, nutrition, or shelter. In every one of these, we still have a long, long way to go before we can call ourselves an accomplished society. This is also a society where the government plays a very large role, and the gap between the rich and the poor is so large. Therefore, your contribution in finding solutions to the problems of our society by the power of your algorithmics, your design, your analysis, and of course your ability to program will be of extraordinary use to this society. In some way it will be more useful to this society than most other societies. But in doing so, as I was speaking to Pranav, Sunil and others while having coffee, I mused about the possibility of finding some simple solutions to the problems of ERP for NGOs. Today I find that we in India have perhaps 500,000 NGOs, if I'm not wrong. And most of them are very small. And they do not have an ERP solutions that combines financial systems, human resources systems, systems to handling their target audience or customers or whatever you want to call. And with the result, I have found time and again these NGOs get into somewhat uncomfortable situations, either with tax authorities or with other stakeholders. Similarly, my wife tells me that the biggest problem in India in handling calamities is not the lack of resources, but it is the lack of management, it's the lack of systems. For example, when Infosys participated in the tsunami efforts, my wife found that there were so many boxes of various resources that came from all over the world. But unfortunately, there were no basic systems to keep track of what came, what was needed, how to match the supplies with the demand, what has been done, what has not been done, etc., etc. So therefore, if we can, for example, if the experts in Hackathon can come out with a set of simple systems to handle one of the natural calamities, and then make it available like Google has done, in the form of Google Docs, then I would say your contribution to this country, not just this country, this entire world, will be very significant. In Asia, in Africa, in South America, even in developed parts of the world like in Europe, in the US, etc. So therefore, my request to you is this: please think of designing solutions that will help a large number of NGOs to make them even more effective. In other words, try and attack a meta problem rather than attacking a set of specific problems. Look at what are the meta problems that NGOs need to solve, and if you can use the power of your algorithmic thinking and problem solving to find solutions to these meta problems, I do believe that you will be indeed making the life of millions of people, perhaps in some cases billions of people all over the world. Therefore, I would say that while I have no doubt at all about the ingenuity of both the US and the Indian professionals in their ability to add value to the society through the power of algorithmics, I hope you will utilize that extraordinary ability in making the lives of the poorest of the poor so much better, because at the end of the day, there is no way that any one of us can feel successful if we are in the midst of people who consider themselves not so successful. So therefore, my best wishes to every one of you, every one of the participants in Hackathon, everyone connected with Code for India, and I would want you people to be very successful in making this effort very valuable to the society. I'm extremely grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the inspiring talk, Dr. Murthy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So after that inspiring talk, thank you very much to Dr. Murthy. And our next speaker is one of the young entrepreneurs from our of this age. Technology helps us connect people and remove inefficiencies of life, and that's the inefficiency Dr. Murthy is talking about, removing from the world of NGOs and people who are working for society. Phanindra Sama, who's our next speaker, has done exactly that in the space of streamlining and making the bus travel a lot easier for all of us. He founded this company in 2006, and over the years it has become one of the icons for the internet companies in India. It has operations in over 25 states with 39,000 bus services dependent on this in terms of their seat allocation and bookings and so on. He has been he's been lauded by a number of forums for his entrepreneurship, both Redbus, which was recognized as one of the top 5 startups to watch by Forbes, as well as Funny himself, who's been lauded as the pioneering entrepreneur of our country by ET Now and TIE and a number of other forums. So I would love to hear a lot more from him about what he thinks about the whole effort about using software and technology for creating tools and enabling our NGOs and the ecosystem that works around society to scale up. Funny, please.
Seven years back, I'm just going to talk about the problem that we saw and why we started what we started. And in the course of 7 years, the lessons that we learned, I've kind of highlighted 3 lessons which could probably be useful to you, and about 2 thoughts on what is Code for India and etc. So all this I'm going to finish in 15 minutes with 3 slides as soon as they come up. Okay, I'll start anyway. So, about 7 years back, I was working here in Texas Instruments, and my parents were in Hyderabad, so I used to take buses frequently home. And the Diwali of 2005, when I wanted to go back to Hyderabad, I went to the regular travel agent to book a ticket. So when I went to this travel agent, the modus operandi there is when a customer comes, travel agent makes phone calls to the bus operators to find out if they have any seats, right? That's exactly what they did when I went to the travel agent. But unfortunately, the 3 travel agents that he called, they didn't have seats. So just when I was leaving his office, this travel agent told me that maybe another travel agent could get me a seat. When he said this, I was intrigued. I was thinking, if this guy is a travel agent for bus industry, he should be able to tell me whether or not there are any seats in Bangalore which go to Hyderabad that evening. How come this person is asking me to go to another travel agent to get a seat? Right? So anyway, I went to this other travel agent. He also made like 2-3 phone calls and told me that there are no seats. Then I got a little curious and greedy. I went to the 3rd travel agent. He made another set of 3-4 phone calls, couldn't get me a seat. Likewise, I went to the 4th and the 5th and the 6th travel agent, but I couldn't get a seat. And I ended up being in Bangalore for the long weekend. Next day when I woke up, I was feeling really guilty, because maybe there was a 7th travel agent or a 10th travel agent to whom if I had gone to, maybe he would have called the 30th bus operator, and maybe the 30th operator had a seat which went vacant from Bangalore to Hyderabad that evening, right? And if indeed that 30th operator had a seat which went vacant from Bangalore to Hyderabad that evening, that was lost to that bus operator, because he would run the same bus with the same fuel and the same driver and etc., but he went with 1 seat less. And much more sad, because there was a person in one corner of the city who wanted the seat. Just because he didn't have seamless distribution, he couldn't get that one customer, right? And it was a loss to the travel agent, the first 6 travel agents to whom I went to, because they had a customer in front of him, selling him a ticket. He could have made some money, but he just didn't know which of the operators had a seat, right? And it was a loss to a customer like me, because I desperately wanted to be home for the Diwali, but just didn't know which operator had a seat, right? So all the 3 of us were losing out because information about buses wasn't seamlessly available to all the 3 parties. And when I looked at it, okay, can we just not? Yeah, next one. So this is the problem. This is how the operations were before we started Redbus. So as an engineer, when I looked at it, the answer was very obvious to me. It was in front of me, right? Why can't there be a computer system where all these bus operators state how many buses they run, what are the seats, and etc. and all that, and these travel agents log on to that system to check the availability as and when they get customers, right? That was the solution that stuck to me. And then immediately I wrote a mail to all my flatmates saying I couldn't get a bus ticket, and hence I had to stay back. So this is a solution. Probably this solution can work. Why not create this solution? So everybody was very excited. So 7 of us came together to create this solution. By then we didn't know about setting up a company, startup. We didn't know about anything. Actually, we wanted to do it as a open source solution. I wish Code for India was there then, right? We could have leveraged the power of so many developers across to build probably a much more robust solution than what we have built now. But it was a very, very similar context. There was a problem, and we wanted to solve that problem. And being an engineer, we knew that we could solve the problem. We came together to solve the problem. And the solution that we created, can you go to the next slide? The solution that we created is these 3 softwares. We created a software called BOSS. It stands for Bus Operator Software System. It is ERP given to the bus operators for them to manage their operations. And then on the other hand, we created a software called Red Bus for consumers to come and make reservations. And the third software that we created is a software for travel agents where they could log in and take inventory. So with these three softwares, we could get almost all the buses in the country computerized. Today, about 1,200 bus operators across the country use software, either our software or some other software, but they do use software. And millions of consumers buy tickets from us, and there are about 40,000 travel agents across the country who use seat seller or a seat seller kind of a service. Now, if you look at it, all this happened in 6 years. Actually, when we started, there was not even proper internet in the country. I'm talking about 7 years back, right? And we were actually thinking probably it takes a decade or 15 years for something like this to happen. But it all happened much faster, much earlier than what we thought of. In the first year, when we launched BOSS after 3 years of our existence. In the first year when we launched BOSS, the first year itself, we signed up about 400 bus operators, which meant we computerized a bus operator who is probably semi-literate, who has never used a computer. Such kind of operators, we were able to computerize at least more than one operator per day, right? That's the pace at which the software was adopted, right? So that's about our story. So can we go to the next? So now I'm going to talk about the 3 lessons and 2 thoughts, 3 lessons that probably could be useful to you while you attempt solving these problems now. So the first lesson is creating this solution is not a one-time job, right? After we started, even 7 years back when we launched, when we sold the first ticket in, I think 22nd August 2006, we had the website. We had a capability where consumer could choose a seat. We had the capability where you could put in a credit card number and buy a ticket and travel through that ticket, which means that we had all the capabilities that we have today about 7-8 years back, right? So if the software was doing its job, then what did we do all this while, right, for 7 years? Actually, when we sold the first ticket, one of my co-founders who was handling technology, he actually walked up to me and said, okay, we're going to, the software is working fine and I'm now free. Let me just get into business development, because we didn't have bus operator. He said, I'm going to get into business development. And we actually thought maybe he could get into business development. But what we see in the 7 years is not only he had to continue building the software, but the software team probably grew by 10-20 times, right? When we sold the first ticket, the software team was only probably 2 people. Now it's actually 60 people, right? And every day, not only more people are required, every day more hours and more sophisticated technology is put to continue to live up to the consumer's needs and demands, right? So when you're building softwares, I think you should all look at it as a long-term engagement. It's not a one-time commodity that you do and then you leave it. If you do it once and leave it, it will have its natural death. Because once, I mean, the way we look at it is once we gave some kind of a software to bus operators, they were asking more, right? So now, recently, some of you in the startup ecosystem may have learned this news that we acquired a company called YourBus, which does GPS tracking on buses, right? This is a very, very sophisticated thing that the bus operators in India now want to track where the bus is, so that they can improve their punctuality, etc., and all that. So this is a very high level of requirements from an industry which is like never used technology just 5 years back. So if you don't live up to that, bus operators may just, I think today it's difficult for them to give up the software, but in the early days they would have just given up software and gone back to their regular ways of doing business. So that's the first lessons learned. The second lesson learned is actually the most logical solution didn't work. If we get back to the previous slide, the solution that we created, right? If you look at this diagram even mentally, right? The most logical solution, if we had to create 3 solutions, 3 softwares. So the most logical software to start with, obviously we couldn't start with all the 3 softwares at the same time, but the first software to create is probably BOSS. Right? You create this ERP, go to the bus operators, give them the software and get them to use it, and only then go and get customers. Because the other thing doesn't work. If you just go to the customers without having any inventory with you, customers probably won't come to you. The same is with the travel agent, right? It is a kind of a chicken and egg problem, who comes first, but with some, the bus operators having a little bit edge, because you can just go sit there and tell them a story that their operations can improve and etc. and all that. So the first solution that we created was BOSS, but unfortunately our learning was after 2 months of, the software was created in 6 months, then after that 2 months we went to the bus operators asking them to use the software, but none of them were using the software, even when we were ready to give it for free, right? And a year later we had competitors, and those competitors not only gave the software free, but they also shipped computers to them, saying, oh, I know you're not using the software even though it is free because you don't have the hardware, right? They bought hardware, gave it to them, still they were not using it. Then they said, oh, you don't have internet dongles, let me ship internet dongles. Still they were not using it, right? Then they said, oh, I know it now. You're not using it because you don't know how to use the computers, right? Then they actually put people who are employed with our competitor in bus operators' offices to operate computer, right? Still the bus operators weren't using it, right? But, so thankfully we had good advisors and mentors from TAI, and their wisdom helped us. For 2 months when we tried giving software to the bus operators were not taking, and we didn't know what to do. We went to our advisors, and the advisors told us that it's probably, there's a huge resistance to change, and why should they take it, blah, blah. We had some kind of a reorientation. In that reorientation process, we actually flipped the solution from giving software to the bus operators to actually going and launching Redbus first, going to consumers and asking them to use Redbus. But the challenge there is when customers come, you don't have inventory, what do you do, and etc. So what we did is we actually went to the bus operators and took 2 seats in each bus as a quota, and then we uploaded it on the site, and then consumers somehow started buying, and then the 2 became 4 and etc. and all that. But what I wanted to emphasize, can we go to the next slides? What I wanted to state here is that the most logical solution actually may not work in the practical world when we go there, right? So don't get disheartened. The first defeat is probably not a permanent defeat for your solutions. Maybe we should go and pursue again and ask why people are not using the software which you thought would be used by the people. Then they would give us insights which can be very, very powerful in actually turning it around and making people use the software. And the third lesson, the last lesson from our journey is that of creating everything for everyone, right? I also looked at Code for Resilience website where there are some products which are already being created, and then I think I saw one app which is made in iOS, which is made in Android, which is made in I think Windows. Like it is present in almost every conceivable operating system, but the number of downloads were probably less than 100 or something like that, right? So when you have everything, why aren't people using it? So from our experience, for anything to be successful, right, it's not the first solution that you created will be successful. We have to probably do 10,000 experiments on that, and maybe 50 of them will be successful, and those 50 things will change the course of adoption of our technology. So when you're doing these 10,000 experiments, if you're doing in 10 platforms, then you're probably 10,000 divided by 10 or 5 is the number of experiments that you can do in each platform. Rather, what has helped us is pick one platform which is used by most number of the target customers and do these 10,000 experiments on it, right? And over a period of time, once it starts getting used, you would have figured out the recipe as to what is making people use the software. And then it is so much more easier to just port that thing into another platform, and another platform, and another platform, right? So the lessons learned here is when you're starting out, you may want to just restrict it to one browser or maybe one technology or one operating system, and then really work on it to take the adoption high And once the adoption is high, you may want to replicate on other platforms. So these are the 3 lessons from our journey. And I'll go to the next 2 thoughts. So the first thought that I had is, again, coming from our experience. Today, today I'm standing here speaking, etc. and all that. But 7 years back, if I had not missed a bus, or if I had not started Red Bus, and if I had applied to Google, probably they would not have allowed me even into the gate. Right? I would not have got the job. But today I'm a very different person. So what did I do? The only thing I did was just get in, think of this solution, which is very simple. I mean, it's not a very complex solution. It's not even actually an innovation, though we got a lot of innovation awards. It's just using the existing softwares to put them together to create something which is very commonsensical. But that changed my life, right, completely. Moreover, it changed my confidence. Today, we've sold our company, and if I'm going to do another company, the scale that I would think is much larger, very, very different, right? All this is a result of what we did as code for bus industry, right? It could be for profit, not for profit, doesn't matter. But it being for profit didn't give me this confidence, right? It's my confidence or this thing is not a result of, oh, it is sold for so much, etc. This confidence comes from building a brand or building a solution which millions of consumers are using and thousands of bus operators are using, right? And I see that it's a similar opportunity that is there for all of you, right? Doesn't matter whether it's for profit, not for profit, but once you create these solutions, and probably 5 years from now, if millions of people, not just in India, but across the world are using that, right, you will, I want to take a bet that you will all be very, very different people, very, very different individuals who would have gone through this journey of how very simple, small things can actually make such a big impact in the community, right? So that's the first thought that I had, and I think if you're not involved, yes, all of you have signed up and you're working on these 20 projects and etc. But some of you may have a tendency, even in our group of 7 founders, we were actually 7 flatmates, and I wrote this mail to all the 7 of them. All the 7 of them raised their hands and got into the creating the solution. But when we incorporated the company, we were only 3 of us. 4 of my co-founders just left. And actually, when we sold the company last year, there were only 2 of us. One of the co-founder left in the midway, right? So in this opportunity, when so many of you are coming together to work on these solutions, some of you may be very involved, some of you may not be involved. So my recommendation, if I may say so, is that please get involved as much as possible if you want to really make this as a foothold for you to do something else. It may not be that you want to set up a company, but it may be anything in your life, right, which needs a lot of confidence to do. If you are not involved full-fledgedly in what you're doing, then it's not a dot, but it becomes a dot with a void, which is a circle. It won't be of any use, right? Anyway, if you're spending this time, you might as well spend wholeheartedly, fully involved and immersed, so that it is a very impactful exercise for yourself. And the last thought that I had is, I think this hackathon is probably a right thing to happen at the right time, right? Many times I hear a lot of people telling us that, oh, Red Bus is so successful. And actually it is also a fact that before we started Red Bus, there were many people who tried to do what we did. Right? When we went to the bus operators the first time with this solution, people said, oh, many people have come with this solution, but it didn't work. Don't waste your time. Our sincere recommendation to you is don't resign your jobs, right? But somehow, actually, because initially we thought we are not starting it as a company, we were anyway doing it as a non-profit or something like that. We just got doing what we were doing. Maybe we were successful because it was the right time for it, right? Maybe internet penetration was going up, maybe there were many credit cards, maybe internet technologies were evolved to make creating the solution so simple, so easily, right? So I think we were blessed with being at the right time, at the right place, right? And I think right now, I think every one of us in the context of Code for India are also at the right place at the right time. I'm saying this because, I mean, the data.gov.in, there's so much, I mean, this is a time where so much unstructured data is being structured, right? You take it, I mean, again, in our context, right? You can just, if you want to know the bus industry timing, schedule, and etc., you can just take an API from us and you get entire information. This information was completely unstructured, right? Another example from our industry is if you want hotels, right? The hotels of the country were never structured into bits and bytes, right? Similarly, in gov.in, I had a chance to just go through the information there. There's so much data about Indian demographics, education, nutrition, etc. It's all probably structured now and is made as a API, which one could use. So it's very, very powerful. If you were to do this Code for India, probably 5 years back, you would probably not, I mean, it's probably not, it would be much more difficult to do it because that information wasn't available. And the same thing, even on the technology front, which all of you probably are much more aware than me, is even technologies have evolved, right? The Ruby on Rails or cloud computing. Today you can do fantastic stuff with these evolved technologies, right? You can pull out a graph data visualization just like that. To do that alone 4 years back was so difficult, right? So I think in that way, we are at the right place at the right time, and another right time is I think for the first time in probably the mankind, right? For the first time, individuals are so powerful, right? Individuals more, I mean more so, developers, software developers are so powerful, right? I say this because if you look at Flappy Birds, right? It is a game created by one individual in some corner of the world, and it has made such a phenomenal impact. The impact could be anything. I mean, I'm saying impact is something that all of us sitting here know about Flappy Birds. Many of us have used it. So it is an impact. It is an influence on the rest of the human beings across the world, right? So look at this guy. Earlier, it took probably Akbar the Great to invade a country and make that kind of an impact, right? But today, each one of us as software developers are so powerful like never before. And the impact that each one of us can make is tremendous, right, in the world that we live in. And for that, what is required? It doesn't need, again, some days, I mean, a few years back, it probably required a rich man to write a big check to create a Dale Carnegie kind of insights to impact a humankind, right? Today, even money is not required. It is just our sheer ability to put Java code or a .NET code into a solution and just publish it on internet, right? And thanks to the catalysts like Google and Carl and etc., whatever we do, it will easily get amplified and magnified, which is again a very good catalyst to have. So with this, that's again a right. That is again a reason why we are at the right time at the right place. So with this, these are the two thoughts that I had. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Yeah. Taking a snap.
Thank you, Dr. Murthy and Phanindra. With this, I'll hand it over to Sunil to make some announcements about the rest of the program for tomorrow.
Thank you. So if you turn around the tag, I think it clearly talks about when we are opening tomorrow. So we'll be opening up around 7:30 for registrations, and all the developers can start walking it at 7:30 itself. And at around 8:30, we'll be showcasing Code for India projects. These are all the previous hackathon projects, highlights of the projects that we'll be talking about, and followed by the NGO pitches by the NGOs who will be talking about their problem statements. And then we'll be having a keynote from Amit Singhal from Mountain View. And we'll start the hackathon at around 10 o'clock. And during the entire process of the hackathon, we'll be having close to 8 to 10 volunteers who will be your technology experts, who will be helping you out in case you are stuck out with any kind of a problem. And we'll also have similar kind of volunteers in Mountain View who will be there in different rooms, and you can have a hangout with them and get your problem solved. And you'll have close to around 24 hours to complete the hackathon. We'll be closing it at 7 o'clock sharp on Sunday morning. And between 7 to 9 a.m., we'll be bringing down the shortlist from 80 participants to close to 20 to 25. And 25 will be the finalists, which will be judged by teams based out of Bangalore as well as Mountain View. And the top 7 winners will be announced at around 12 o'clock on Sunday. Okay, with this, we'll come to the end of today's proceedings, and we'll be breaking up for high tea. Thanks for your time. Is there anything that you want to speak from Mountain View, Carl and team? Any parting words?
Well, thank you, Sunil. Thank you, Pranav. And I want to once again thank Mr. Murthy and Mr. Sama for a wonderful, keynote speeches. And was a great inspiration for all of us and for all the developers. I would like to just quickly mention our key partners that I didn't mention earlier. I hope you can see all of our partners here, but we have we have over 20 NGOs that we work with, and on an ongoing basis. And hackathons are events that we do 2 or 3 times a year, but we have a continuous development that goes on a weekly basis, where teams here in Mountain View, in Silicon Valley, we meet up and we work for several projects, and all our projects are online on Wiki. So if you would all go to codeforindia.org and look at our Wiki, you will see a full list of our projects. I want to acknowledge the support from 3 outreach partners, the NASCOM Foundation. I believe the president of NASCOM Foundation, she has flown in from New Delhi. Rita Soni, she must be over there. We have the president of the TIE Bangalore, Nagarand, who has been a great help. And Sanjay Kadaveru, who's the president of the Action for India, who has also flown in from New Delhi. So I would really want to thank all the 3 of our outreach partners. And then the sponsors, which includes a long list of great technology companies from Google, Amazon, Cisco, Intel, Oracle, Wipro, Infosys. So thank you all for your great support. And the last but not the least is World Bank. So World Bank has been the main partner of this hackathon, and of the many challenges that you'll see that we have for the next 2 days. World Bank has 3 of the most very interesting challenges at a global scale. So part of our mission at Code for India is not just to code for problems in India, but it's really code for the world. So every single project that we build here, that solution is all open source and can be reused and can be applied to problems, just like Mr. Murthy said, can be applied to problems in any parts of the world, not just in developing countries, but also in developed countries. So it's great to have someone like World Bank as a partner who has the scale, and they have been supporting this kind of code for a particular country program all over the world. So with this, thanks once again, and we look forward to meeting you. I hope you guys will all have some fantastic time for the next an hour or hour and a half as networking with each other and getting to know each other. Our forums are online for every single challenge. It is at forum.codeforindia.org. So, and we have started seeing already activity of participants and hackers. They're already discussing about the challenges, because all the challenges are already online. So you can start thinking about it, discussing about it, and then come prepared tomorrow morning, and we will be still all here. So looking forward to having a great hackathon. Thank you.